Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Matter of fact, good afternoon. Saturday is one of those days where you kind of get a late start, for me at least, because waking up so early throughout the week. But all things aside, welcome to Heart of Christ Ministry. I am Reverend Shaun Robert Grant, and I'm happy to have you here with me today. Same concept as far as empowering, inspiring, encouraging, uplifting, doing whatever we can as I kick the table to enable you to move in a direction to make your life as great as you possibly can. And I'm happy and thrilled and just absolutely excited to be here. All right. So a few things here before we get going. Okay. If you guys are interested in prayer, you're interested in letting the ministry know what you've benefited from and how you're doing. If you've been tuning in, I think this is video 20. I want to say 26, 27, possibly. Wow, a lot of messages. But anyway, if you feel you've benefited from it and you want to share that with the ministry, by all means, guys, that helps Heart of Christ if you do that or if you choose to do that. So by all means, that, as well as if you need help with anything else, if you need prayer, if you need to you need somebody stand in agreement with you for a divine solution within your life, guys, I am here to do that. Heart of Christ is here to do that for you without question. That email, use it to your advantage, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. So thank you in advance for that, for your correspondence, because let's communicate. That's one thing I just forgot. Excuse me. Find, the opportunity to, how do I put it? I just lost my train of thought. Anywho, if you have anything you'd like to share, write to us at SeanG04@gmail.com and watch what I was going to say come back. But you know what? We won't worry about it because guess what? We'll do this at the end also. So thank you for that in advance once again. And then from there also, if you find that this ministry has benefited you in any capacity, any shape, size, and form, if it has helped empower you to move to a new level into your life, by all means, use that energy, sow a seed. The seed that you sow never leaves your life. It comes back as a harvest, and then you plant another seed. And that's the beauty of the entire idea of sowing seeds, right? This ministry expands because of the love that you express into it. And thank you for receiving the love that I express through these messages that I have. So with that being said, thank you for your kindness and generosity in advance. It is greatly appreciated. And we are rolling. Okay, where's my abundance? You already know what's happening. You know the deal. Love you too, Heidi. Thank you for joining us today. So you know what's going on here. All right. With where's my abundance? Where's my abundance comes to the mindset of being able to place ourselves into a position, okay, to really experience gratitude for what's present in our lives, right? Experience the fullness and fulfillment of knowing what's there as a blessing. And what that does, that takes your mind and puts it in a place of abundance as opposed to a place of what's lacking. All right. So when I say, where's my abundance? It could be anything. It could be the chair I'm sitting on right now. It could be the sunshine outside. It could be the palm trees, if you live in California or Florida. It could be the floor you're walking on that is not falling down. It can be absolutely anything. The primary objective here is to get you into a mindset of seeing what is truly abundant and where's my abundance. So here's what I'm going to do. 2 rounds we're going to give to you, 30-second countdown. And we're going to allow you 30 seconds to find your abundance, whether it's tangible or intangible. And what I would like you to do is write it down into the comments. Okay. Write it down into the comments. Let us know what it is that you're where, or actually let us know where's your abundance. Let us know what you feel like is truly abundant in your life, right? And then the reason we want you to comment and share is because it could inspire somebody else to feel abundant about something that they've never really thought about, right? It's just sparking the thought and the magic in other people just as much as yourself. So we're going to do 2 30-second intervals with this. Where's my abundance? Here's your 30-second clip coming at you. Go for it. Where's my... And there's the time. First round done. All right. So in just a moment, we're going to do that again. Why? Because I want you to have all the abundance in your life. And guess what? It starts within you. It starts in your heart. It starts in your mind. It starts with everything coming together. Right. So we're going to do that. I once again put that into the comments because everybody needs to know why you feel abundant. And you need to know because guess what? The moment your mind gets on that tip, that track, it grabs that rope and it starts to pull you to observing and focusing on what's abundant in your life. Your attention is going to magnify that. And guess what? You'll be like, abundance is everywhere around me. So once again, I'm going to have you dive in for another 30 seconds. And I want you to place that into the comments before we get into our message. Are you ready? 30 seconds. Where's my abundance? Get after it. All righty. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for participating and playing in this awesome game. And we will do this every single day. Why? Because I care about your abundance. I care about you rising to a higher level of living, a higher potential for yourself, a higher state of being that's rooted in divine peace, love, joy, and happiness. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And with that being said, guys, let's get into our message for today. Heart of Christ is proud and happy to bring you the dynamic, prospering power of self-talk. And this, I know I say it with everything, but this is one of my absolute favorite topics. And why is this my favorite topic? This is my favorite topic because we have the power. I had to think about it. I'm like, we have the power. Okay. So as it comes down to self-talk, right? To be able to really sit with yourself and listen to what is being conveyed, right? On the TV screen of your mind, that is a dynamically valuable thing to experience, especially when you get to that place where it uplifts you, it raises you up to a higher level, right? And so no matter where our life seems to be at this point in time, we have the power. We have the power to take our self-talk to a whole nother level, right? And so it's interesting because if we're not really paying attention to this and we fall into, old habits that may not serve or be conducive to our highest good, self-talk can be really negative and it can kind of creep in, right? Like small instances, not even like, oh, you're terrible, but more like you always do that. It's like, why haven't you learned this yet? So that can be self-deprecating. We want to be self-appreciating. We want to experience self-love and joy and self-confidence within ourselves. So we're going to be our greatest coach, right? And before I get into number one, I want to share something with you. I didn't document this one in the bullet points. But I did this thing I call the self-motivated morning routine. And you may have heard me talk about this in previous videos, but what I did is I turned on the Rocky theme song. As soon as I woke up, turn on the wall, not as soon, but, shortly after, went to the bathroom, turned on the Rocky theme song. And for that 4 minutes of Eye of the Tiger, from Survivor, I just encouraged, uplifted. It was almost like I had my very own motivational speaker to myself in the mirror. And I did that for the length of the song. And I continue to do that because I have just given myself so much love that honestly was non-existent at an earlier time in my life because, unless it's a special occasion, who's going to stand there and just say, you are amazing, you are awesome, you are divinely prospered, you are everything you want to be? Like, who's going to do that, right? I think, not even our spouses would do that for us every day. As much as they love us, I don't think they would have the energy to just come up and like basically be Tony Robbins or, Eric Thomas every single day. So you know what? We got to do it for ourselves. And I would do it in the mirror because I wanted to see how my demeanor changed when I just basically just went after it. I just went for it. And I just lifted myself up so high. I tell you, just in doing that, it changed the scope of how I felt about myself in certain situations, right? Because I had given myself so much confidence and so much worth and self-love, I would come into situations where I would run scared previously and just all of a sudden have this power, this dynamic divine power within me to face whatever it was and know without a shadow of a doubt, absolutely, I'm going to get through this, and this is not going to stop me. As a matter of fact, it's going to make me better, right? And what I just said is it comes from giving yourself that motivation, because here's what we got to know about our mind, and we're going to get into number one here right after I say this. Our minds are pure, unbridled power, right? And so how they work is you give them a task, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly, and they follow it, right? They follow that task. They do it relentlessly, So if it comes from a neutral space and it's not catered to go on one side or the other, what does that mean for us? We can give it whatever we want it to amplify in our lives and just watch it take that and run. And before you know it, you begin to do something like the self-motivated morning routine, and you find you're getting thoughts all the time throughout the day. I have thoughts throughout the day that says you are absolutely terrific in every sense of the word. And, you are wonderful. You are kind. You are a treasure. You are just a gem. And these are the type of thoughts that I'm thinking from doing that. Well, partly, big in part, from doing that self-motivated morning routine. Okay. So let's move into number one here to start it off. Okay. And so when it comes to self-talk, you want to know your real, true self-worth and allow that to reflect in your self-talk. And so if we ever need to know what our true self-worth is, no matter where we are in life, whether we're riding high on the top of the mountain or in the deepest valley, our real true self-worth comes from our divinity. It comes from the idea that we have been created in the likeness and image of the beautiful, benevolent, divine spirit that is God. Right? So if you know nothing else, know that you've been approved because of that. And so that has to be the starting point, because it's that divine love that can just pull you out of the pit, right? Almost just kind of pull you and just raise you up like in The Lion King. But you have to connect to that self-love. You have to connect to that self-worth, and it's your divinity. It's within you. So you have to go within first. And a lot of times we have to get through some muck to get to that essence of beauty, but it's worth it, right? It's worth it when we truly discover what the divine says about us, right? And keep in mind, it's something along the lines of, you are the apple of its eye. You are the treasure amongst the greatest treasures. Like you're really, and this is stuff that was like divinely downloaded and translated to me that I begin to understand. And the trick is, when the transmission happens and the energy perks up and it makes you feel good, that is a telltale sign that spirit is really allowing you to see what you truly are. So you root yourself in that. You got to know, not just think about, you got to know it, right? Have that faith and that conviction in what your true worth is, no matter what anybody else says. And I'll tell you this, I'll tell you this. If you're here right now watching this, and you can see me talking as an extension of yourself, and you're right here and you see me doing this, guess what? You are stronger than you know. Because until you understand how life works, one of the hardest things to do is to live. Because we've been programmed with such faulty conditioning from whatever source it may be. You don't have to place blame on anybody, but the conditioning is faulty. And when you're dealing with that type of conditioning, life can seem like a Tyson fight. One moment right after the other, right? But it's until we're able to discover the divinity within and know our true self-worth where we can all change it around and flip it into something that becomes even more conducive to us living our very best life, right? So know your real, true self-worth and allow it to reflect in your self-talk. And it starts out simple, like, I am worthy, I am blessed, I am capable, I'm divinely prospered. It starts out like that. And then all of a sudden, when you get to know yourself, just like when you get to know somebody else, you get a little bit more comfortable and you start saying stuff. And sometimes it comes out as profanities, but hey, it's the energy behind it that matters the most. And that will lift you up more than anything I can imagine, because you have to start with the divine. You have to start with your real, true self-worth. And that is who God, who the divine says that you are. And it is something beautiful. Let me tell you. Number 2, self-talk should motivate you to challenge yourself to be greater than you already are, right? Should motivate you to challenge yourself to be greater than you already are. Okay. And so, when we think about that, sometimes it's hard to embrace change, but the easiest way to accept change is to understand that all change is leading to you being the very best possible version of you. A few years back, we're in Los Angeles. And for me, at times, Los Angeles was a place that I just saw myself being there the rest of my life. Right. But then my soul pretty much started to urge me, gently though, in the direction that it was time to move on. It was time to go to a new place. And can be honest with you, at first I had reservations because I was thinking to myself, well, I'm an actor, performer, I'm a writer, and like I'm doing these businesses and stuff, and LA is a place to be, and I don't know if I really want to leave. And then I began to connect and meditate on it more, right? I began to really dive into who I was or who I was getting ready to be. And then I connected to something that the divine was attempting to convey to me. And from there, I just started talking myself up, right? I began to challenge myself, right? And it came out of stuff like, I've never backed down from anything. Resiliency is one of my greatest attributes. No matter where I go, I'm going to rise higher. I'm going to triumph. I'm going to walk in victory that's already ordained for me. And I begin to say those things. And before you know it, as the time unfolded, it got easier and easier and easier to face the fact that it was time to leave Los Angeles, California, right? And so I did that. And I wasn't able to do it until I had that strength within me to really move myself to the place of action, right? Because the one thing you don't want is your mind to betray you when you're doing something that your soul wants. This is why body, mind, spirit, soul alignment is absolutely impeccable. It's actually, you can't, it's not something you can just say, oh, you know what, well, the mind's not on board, so we're just not going to do this. No, it doesn't work like that. You've got to get the mind on board. And that's what self-talk does, right? Self-talk gets the mind on board and gets the mind revved up and ready to make the move. And I can tell you, it's been one of the greatest moves for myself and my wife that we could have ever come across at any point in time in our lives. And it comes back to trusting, and that trust comes from knowing my true self-worth, which is rooted in the divine, and then also challenging myself, right? Challenging myself to know that this is a move that's going to make me greater than I already am. And it did exactly that. Made me greater than I already was, and then some, and continue to allow me to grow. But I couldn't have got there if I didn't accept what my heart, my soul, spirit was giving me, and I didn't set my mind to challenging myself to rise up to the challenge and be the very best that I could be in that situation. And before I move on to number 3, it's important to know we should never get attached to stuff, right? This gets back to change being something that's always good for you. But we should never get attached to things. Sometimes it's easy to get attached to things like cars and homes and certain aspects of our lives. But we have to know that we're only using those things for a certain period of time. And then when the time comes to let it go, you know what you say? Thank you so much for what you've given to me, but it's time for me to let you go. It's time for me to move on. And done. You move on because you know that what you're letting go is allowing something much, much greater to move in to your existence. And it's set up. The victory's already set up. Right? I was talking to somebody the other day. I'm like, do you think that the divine would place us here to be tortured, to be, maimed and mangled emotionally and just to experience hell? Absolutely not. Right? When you discover what divine love truly is and you actually feel it and you live from it, you know that that is the furthest thing from the truth that you could ever experience, because it's just not the truth of why we're here. It's just not the truth of why things change, right? All we have to do is look to nature to experience that, the 4 seasons, right? And that's never a bad thing. Winter comes along, well, not in Florida because it's like summer all the time, but winter comes along in other places, and it's nice to watch the snow and watch, cool weather and to be wrapped up in a nice jacket and stuff like that. So you really, it's all in your mind, right? But if you're coming up against stuff that you're having blockages, challenge yourself. Use your self-talk to motivate you to be greater than where you already are and to move from a place, right? Because all it does is just change your state, and your state controls everything that comes into your life, right? All right. Number 3. Self-talk should always create the divine peace, create divine peace within you. So there's a level of peace that resides in everybody, but faulty conditioning removes it. So if I told you peace is your true natural state and you're an absolutely hot mess, would you believe me? Probably not, because you've been a hot mess for so long. That peace, peace seems so foreign to you, but peace is your actual true nature. And so you may be like, well, how do I get back to the peace? Easy. Get rid of all the bad conditioning and begin to talk to yourself in a way that builds confidence, that builds love, that builds appreciation. There's a video from Louise Hay that's on YouTube right now. And I saw it at the Center for Spiritual Living, Fort Lauderdale, last year sometime. I think Reverend Heidi picked it out. That's what actually made me go, and it made me go and pick it up and actually view it, right? And so it was one of those things where I pretty much, I received it at first glance. So I saw the video and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I need. Because even as she was saying it, right? Even as she was saying it, Louise Hay, that is, it resonated a level of peace in me that I had never experienced, right? And I even added something onto it for myself, right? That would help me, that would enable me to be the very best that I could be, right? So anyway, so Reverend Heidi puts up this video and Louise Hay is saying that, there's a lot of stuff we go through. There's a lot of stuff that we fought. And I mean, if you know her story, she was abused, like I think sexually, mentally, emotionally, in all types of ways. This woman went through so much stuff and still rose above it to basically create one of the greatest publishing companies ever. But so she starts the video and she basically just says, if you said the simple affirmation of I love and appreciate myself, right? I love and accept myself. That's right. That's what she said. I love and accept myself. What you'll begin to see is that everything that is not in congruence or in alignment with that aspect of love, right? Everything that's in congruence or not in alignment with that aspect of love would come up, right? It would come up and it would allow itself to be removed from your consciousness to make room for the love that was already brewing on the inside of you, right? So what's absolutely fantastic about this, the moment I saw this, I went immediately. I went home. I wrote 100 times, I love, appreciate, accept myself unconditionally. Or I love, accept, and appreciate myself unconditionally. And I tell you, over the next week, it did exactly what she said it was going to do. I began to love myself more, right? And it just became this discovery of just moving out of things, growing out of things that did not serve that love that was being present. And I not only would I would write this down, I begin to talk to myself, right? I love you so much. I appreciate you so much. I accept you so much. And I do it on an unconditional level, Shaun. I would talk to myself. I'd like the biggest crazy person you would ever see, but you had to get a little bit of insane when you were dealing with a lot of the stuff that I'd been dealing with. And I tell you, it created so much peace. It created so much peace within me. So much, right? Like, it was just like, and that type of peace, that's divine peace. You can't get that anywhere else. That's God saying, okay, you've moved out all the trash. Now we can make room for the new furniture in the form of good thoughts and good feelings, right? And it set me free in such an amazing capacity. And I really want you to use this. Take advantage of this, okay? I love and accept myself. And if you want to use mine, what I did is that I love, accept, and appreciate myself unconditionally, right? Because unconditional means that no matter what I've done, no matter what has happened, I can still love myself truly and freely and in a way of wholeness, right? Use that. Use that to your advantage and allow it to create peace in your life. And look, when stuff comes up that challenges that, that's just stuff that's being removed out of your system, right? It's just stuff that's being removed out of your system. My childhood friend Whitney just popped in, so I want to say what's up. Appreciate you, bro. Tuning in. That's what's up. Okay. Moving on to number 4, ladies and gents. Okay. Self-talk should always be rooted in realizing the potential of your God-given purpose and divine gifts. Okay. So I discovered a while back what my primary God-given gifts were. And I came to exhortation, which is basically encouragement, empowerment, telling people, charging people on, cheering them on. Healing was one, faith was another, and discernment was the other, right? And so once I realized what those gifts were, I began to talk to myself as if I was the greatest expert on the planet in my gifts, because all we're really here to do is take our gifts and offer them out to the world, right? If we're not offering our gifts to the world, we're wasting our lives, right? So it's important to tap into that and really hone those, practically, as well as from a mental and emotional standpoint. And guess what? Because of that, I find a relentless drive to use my gifts to help other people, right? I find myself doing things just because of the heart-inspired nature that just wants me to be kind and generous and just give, right? And that's the whole point of having a gift. I give it to you freely, and I allow the divine to take care of sustaining me through that giving, right? And it's a magical process that unfolds. Like, just imagine if we went to give without the expectancy, at least from that channel, of getting something back. It would free us up, and it would also, like number 3, create this level of peace, but also joy, because we're finally realizing our God-given potential. So self-talk comes in, because once you know your gifts, let's say if you've been given a gift to be a rapper, sometimes we used to wonder why, why is that guy sounding so cocky or overconfident? And he's self-talking himself out loud, right? Jay-Z, I'm the greatest rapper alive. What? He's self-talking himself, right? To the point where once his subconscious mind believes that, what's going to happen? He's going to perform exactly in correlation to what he's saying. And that becomes a beautiful thing. Say you're a police officer. I'm the greatest police officer ever to walk the planet. Guess what? Your mind's going to show you action and behaviors to allow you to be the greatest police officer ever walk the planet, right? And then with anything else, self-talk is used to lift you up, right? God gave you a voice. God gave you a heart that should love yourself more, and first and foremost, more than anything else or anybody else. And then that love begins to overflow out into the world. And guess what? It becomes easy to love other people. But the self-talk is what gets you to that place of consciousness that allows you to realize all things great about life, right? And like I say, when you're following your gifts, you can't go wrong. If you follow your gifts, you find out what your gifts are, what gifts God has bestowed upon you, and you follow those, and you encourage them, and you build them, you cannot ever go wrong in life under any circumstances. Even when it seems like it might be adverse, guess what? It's going to come full circle and work out in your favor. I promise you that, guys. I promise you that. So much, truly. All right. So that wraps up today's message, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we're just going to do this again. I said again twice. We're going to do this one more time because I think it's so important. If you have any prayer request, anything you want, help with, let's say you want to create, we talked about intentions at the beginning of the week. And last week also, if you want to help create an intention for something new to be birthed into your life, by all means, give me a shout out. I will help you with that. I will get to it as soon as I can. If you want to share comments or ideas about subjects you need to talk on, or you want me to talk on in this ministry, feel free to send me a message. If you want to work one-on-one, if you like what I'm doing and what I'm putting out to you, send me a message. We could set it up to where we work one-on-one, because counseling, I think, is one of the other gifts I have or whatever. But anywho, whatever it is that you want to want me to correspond with you on as it relates to this ministry, write to us at ShaunG04@gmail.com. Sometimes the words are just lightning fast, and it's too fast. It can't get out of my mouth in the right way. So it comes out as like, blah, 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 right? So by all means, do that. Thank you in advance for communicating, because no man is an island, and communication helps everybody to be better in this world. So keep that in mind. Write that down somewhere, ShaunG04@gmail.com. And lastly, if you feel that this content has benefited you in any capacity, if you feel like you're better because of it, you feel like you're inspired, if you feel like, you are in a place where you want to talk more to yourself in a loving way, and you want to experience a higher version of existence in yourself, and you have that, or you've been inspired in the past, and that energy of love is welling up in you, that you're finally ready to come forward and to offer something through it, guys, it helps this ministry to grow. It helps it immensely. It helps it to expand, and more importantly, expand its reach and its resources to help so many people around the globe. So I want to thank you in advance. If you do decide to sow a seed, Heart of Christ Ministry, Venmo, PayPal, ShaunG04@gmail.com, Apple Pay upon request, and we'll figure out anything else if you feel moved to sow a seed. And with that being said, my dears, that will wrap up today's message. Got something special for you. Stay tuned for the outro. Let me find it. But thank you for joining me. I will be back for Sunday's message again tomorrow, unless something unfolds. But I'm happy that you guys were here. Happy you guys commented and, just interacted, because that's what counts, right? Let's help each other. Let's be a space for each other to rise higher and live our authentic lives. With that being said, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful, blessed day. Here's my outro.
Every dream begins with a vision that sees everything before anyone else ever can. A vision that ignites the endless power to make all your dreams come true. Your truth is in this vision. Now is the time